Well, today we're going to talk about conceptualizing your family history books. You know, we do our research, we stumble across some wonderful little artifact. In fact, yesterday, my daughter and I were going through a box, and we found something we had never noticed before, and neither one of us knows how it got in that box. But there's about 100-year-old leather notebook, very fragile. We opened it up, and inside were love letters and some newspaper clippings. My grandmother told me that when she was born in England, and she told me that when she left, it was shortly after her longtime serious beau and his family got on the train and came to America. And it was a very sad thing. You know, this was a true love situation, and the family was leaving. And he gave her a book that he inscribed and hoped that she would come to America one day. Well, eventually she did, but it was quite a long time afterward. He occasionally, apparently they kept in touch, and he would occasionally send her these wonderful poems. Now, it seemed like everybody she knew wrote wonderful poetry because they all inscribed in these little event books. These marvelous poems that clearly were written on the occasion, very personal. And in one of the poems, it said that he knew that she had another suitor, and that he was currently on a cruise. He was in the Navy. And when he returns, the decision would be made which man would lose. We knew very little specifics about him except his name was Harold. Well, also tucked in this binder was an envelope of things, of newspaper clippings from her sister. And among them were 3 very fragile, fading pieces of newspaper folded. And we don't want to fold newspaper because we lose what's on those cracks. But here was a clipping about a man named Harold, who was an expert parachute trainer for the military. Well, part of that is because, we burned up everything during the San Francisco earthquake. But a great deal of the information will be found in newspapers. And here in the archives, they have a lot of those newspapers available to you.
Library archives?
Yeah.
What about the California History Library, or the California Library? Is it a source?
That could tell you more than I could.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Or is it Sutro?
Well, you can always go down to Sutro, but there's stuff right here that would be related to it. Of course, it's a whole other, 2-hour talk on passenger records. But
I didn't see it in the list here.
Yeah, passenger records are available from National Archives, but they didn't keep them well when ships would come and the entire crew and the captain would abandon the ship in the harbor and go out to the oil field. So we have periods of time where that was not kept very well. But the California Pioneer Society in San Francisco has recreated as much of that as possible. And there's lots of great information on that. We could talk a little bit. Are we good, Beth? Okay. So another thing that is very interesting as a topic is transportation. How people travel. This is an example of a children's book, Grandma Essie's Covered Wagon. And it just describes, coming across the plains, and here's how it was. And, they have barrels on the side, and, you lubricate things, and oxen are better than mules. And, it gives you basic stuff, but it's really very interesting to children. and that works well. We have canal boats, we have clipper ships, we have mules, ox-drawn carts, hand carts, the train, when they started coming out. How about when the Model T came out? A passenger liner, or traveling by airplane. You always dressed up in your Sunday best to travel on a plane. So if you know that there was a trip that was taken, perhaps you want to describe how it was. And it's very easy to go, if you know the name of the ship, which is also fairly easy to find out. There are images of the ship online. There are histories of the ship online. You can pick up all kinds of stuff, and you've got a book. It's really very easy to do that. Fashion, textile arts, quilt histories, needlework. I'm sure you have artifacts lying around, how that got made, who made it, whose hands, and what they cared about. I'll share an example in a little bit. Occupations can be very interesting. The tools, my grandfather had tools, and we play a game every other year. What is that? What does it do? You know, and you know, he was, he made all kinds of things with metal, and he had all kinds of tools. You know, we try to guess what those tools were for, what they were, you know, what they were, and then we have, you know, the answer. Ooh, it does that really? And you know, it's quite fascinating. Tools are just cool. Routines. You know, if we do our farming on this cycle. These are the stages that we do. You know, here we have, you know, we wait for the wind to be the right temperature before we pick the grapes and whatnot. You know, just the how-to of things is a fascinating book, and children love those. People's hobbies. You know, people have some pretty interesting hobbies, and I'm sure you can get going on that in some detail. Their animals. You know, did they raise any particular kind of a horse? My son-in-law's family, and they're cattle ranchers, and you know, how are things with the cattle? I've bred animals for the San Diego Zoo in my other spare time, and had a couple of monkeys that shared a bedroom with me. You know, I'm an animal person. Religious history is always quite fascinating. We have friends in Norway who literally built the church and painted the ceiling, you know, these intricate murals and so on. You know, there are such wonderful details from a life that you can pull out and make a whole book about that. It doesn't have to be the whole life. Make it that one thing that was so interesting about that one ancestor. How about being involved in the theater? You know, I am the monarch of the sea, ruler of the king's thing. You know, what are the shows that, you know, somebody in your family was always in? Do you have any of the handbills and you know, get the kids the pancake makeup, you know, let them play with that. Musical instruments that people played in their favorite pieces. You know, put together a book of these were their favorite pieces, and here are pictures of the instruments and so on. There are such wonderful things you can do. How about their sports involvement? You know, were they really into baseball? Were they trivia kings? We have a screenshot of my husband. You know, whatever that game is where you, some of you guys can help me out, where you choose this bracket and that bracket, and these guys have to win, and then it goes. Yes, the fantasy thing. My husband got to the last round of whatever that was, and we had a screenshot. We had it all right, because he was really into that. Culinary matters aside from recipe books, you know, tell us more about that food. You know, tell us why you would eat that. And here's a picture of it. Why would you eat this in the way that you did? What is the Native American background for the acorn squash that you're using in your family's recipe that you got from Okolana Watley, who was a Creek? Tell us about the recipe. Don't just give us half a cup of this. Give us evidence of character traits. Give us the virtues that were embodied by ancestors across time. I have generation after generation after generation of people who were ministers. We start out in Europe, and we had a bunch of Mennonites. We then had generations of Quakers, and then we had some Methodist preachers, and so on. Everybody has stayed very much in kind of this family line of very religiously oriented people. That's interesting, where you have generational transmission of skills and interest, and you do that. So tell us how it is across generations. Landscapes. What are the plants that you build around the house? Give us a genealogy of the house. We made a beautiful tribute to an elderly couple. The wife died, and the husband was in a great big house, a wonderful house that they'd been in forever. And he could not stay any longer due to his health. And we did a reminiscence of the house. This was the room where this happened. This was the planting that was done that replaced it when the big drought came. And we just did a genealogy of the house, and did a beautiful reminiscence of that. And it's one of the most moving, lovely family history pieces that we've done. How about the impact of storms and natural disasters? We have plenty of those. Epidemics, polio. 2 people in my family had polio. And the fear that you had if somebody had a cough or a slight fever, and the only thing that you could picture was that iron lung. Knowing what that was like, that's a book right there. And tell people about that. Talk about the bad choices. What would have made a difference? What brought that bad choice about? And what could you do differently now that you know that has consequences? Family sayings, mottos, superstitions, jokes. That is a really handy thing for a blended family, to know the jokes from this family and share that with the other family so they know and they're in on it. That's a really valuable family book. You're also able to download blogs and Facebook postings and create instant books that provide you too much of a view into a person's life and experiences. So let's talk just a little bit about how to do some quick books. How many of you think, oh, I can knock out something for Christmas? Let me disabuse you now. Yeah. Okay, but know that if you have everything in order, here are a couple things that you can do quicker than other things. You can make use of the publishing features that are built into a lot of pedigree software. So this is Legacy, which is my personal favorite. I know many people use Family Tree Maker. Somebody here, somebody brought an example of something that the Publishing Center from Family Tree Maker makes, and maybe she could dawdle for a moment afterwards if anyone wants to see her book. In order to organize your thoughts, it's very easy in Legacy. It's one of my favorite features of Legacy. It has a chronology tab. Anything that you put in, birth, marriage, death, census, whatever you put in, will be put into a chronology automatically. You don't have to do it. It does it for you. And you just click on chronology and it lists out the events that are related to that individual. It adds automatically the birth of the spouse, the birth of siblings, marriages, when the daughter is born, when a parent dies. It adds all that for you. You can also, on chronology options, if you go to other options, you can include various historical timelines. So it just go to chronology options, and then under here you're going to select, and it will give you a list of various timelines that Legacy has already put together for you. You can do your own custom ones, or you can just make use of theirs. So you can choose things like U.S. presidents, inventions, epidemics, wars, whatever, and just click that and save that you want that to be included, and then those things will be added to your chronology. So you'll see, the baby was born the same day that war broke out. There'll be interesting things that you'll start to see that you might not have picked up on. And so then you have all these events with various things added to it. You can also make use of their wonderful research guidance feature, which was one of their first add-ons to your basic pedigree. You click on the research guidance tool in the My Toolbar tab and right-click on an individual's name, and then it'll give you research guidance here at the bottom of the drop-down menu. Research guidance will analyze whatever you already have about that person and suggest any additional resources. And this will be far more than you get from the family search hints or from the ancestors, shaky leaves, and so on. And it will tell you where to find information on that particular thing, what it costs, if it's free, what the card catalog number is, what it is, and how to use it. It really is having accredited genealogists at your elbow. Then after you put together your thoughts, it has that marvelous feature of add events. So if you think of some event, oh, you remember the time when, and you don't have time to write about it now, but you just want to remind yourself, just put it in add events, and you can come fill in as much or as little as you want later on. And you put it in any order, and then you just bump it up or bump it down to put them in order later on when you feel like it and have time. You can organize your whole book and your thoughts that way. It's the easiest of any that I know. Then, if you go to Legacy's Publishing Center, they're all like this. You'll be able to select, okay, I want a particular kind of chart. I want an ancestor book, or I want a descendant book, descendants of Thomas Minor, who came to Connecticut, or the ancestors of so-and-so. You can choose whichever one you want. Do you want timelines? Do you want lineage charts? Do you want a family picture tree? Just select out what you want, and if you have added pictures to go along with it, it'll just put those in for you. And then it'll start listing out the chapters of your book. You say, start with this person, and then we're going to work from there. And then hit preview. You always want to preview. And it'll generate the thing in less than a minute. It'll generate a book for you. So for our example, I just chose 4 things. I want the descendant narrative, the family group sheets. I wanted a chronology and a migration report for this particular family group. Here is the table of contents that it generated. You're going to have some other things besides what you have, there as part of that. You might have a map, or you might have a digital image of a letter, or you might have, a census or something. Here's a certificate of removal from my Quakers. They're moving from this place to this place, and they're in good standing. So I might want to have this on a page. So if it makes its own book, you want to have a page for that, and you want it to be here. So you can add placeholders for maps and other graphic pages that you want to have inserted. And you just pull out the placeholder and you give it a name. You say, how many pages do you want in there? Well, this is going to take 3 pages, so just one will be fine. Save that. And then when it paginates, it puts the page number on all your things and does your table of contents and does your name index at the end where you automatically presto change them. It will include, here's the maps of this, and then you stick those pages in physically yourself afterwards, but it will have numbered them and given you a blank page for it. So it'll give you a family group record, here's a descendancy chart, here's a chronology, a report, your source citations, and it just pops it out for you, presto changeo with an index, and you print. And take that to Kinko's or FedEx or Staples and have them put a comb binding on it or whatever, and your book is done. This is a very fast thing with what you have so far, and you can knock that out in very short order. Whenever possible, I do like to add graphics. I really like wall charts, and you can always do pages, where it says add a page. You can always do a page, say this is the normal size page. Well, you can take a larger piece of paper and fold it just part way, so there's enough room for the comb to go through there. But this becomes a double side, so you can do more like a wall chart, a bigger piece. You can add whatever you want. Legacy has many charting types that you can just pick the way you want it to be displayed, and you can move it around and make it aesthetically pleasing. I always like to put in maps for the people that are at that point in the pedigree chart. So most of these people were in Illinois at that time. Most of these people lived here, and so on. When they're here, add a couple of pictures, and boom, you've got a really nice page. So these antique maps are readily available for free from David Rumsey. Y'all know David Rumsey, right? David Rumsey Map Collection. He is truly benevolent. He has thousands and thousands of antique maps, and they are available for you for free. If you use Google Earth, which I'm very fond of, it's like Google Maps but better. Google Earth will allow you to take those antique maps and overlay them on a modern map and adjust the transparency so you can see kind of the before and after. So I like to do those. You want to throw in a little bit of background material, so go to Ancestry.com's card catalog and look at the location. Here I'm looking up, I have a name, but I don't know anything about the person's life, but I'm going to look up something on where he lived. And when I go there and look at the annals of Polk County, Iowa, Gasha Rudy's, here my ancestor is mentioned. And it says that he was a prominent citizen and mayor, but he was shot and killed in his home by persons who entered the house for hilarious purposes. And the murder caused much excitement throughout the country. Several people were arrested on suspicion of having perpetrated or knowing who the perpetrators were. They escaped and so on. So now I've got all this wonderful additional information. Another very quick way to knock out a family history book is with blog books. Slurp your blog. It is a great fun way to do things. I'm sorry, the internet has been down in my community for almost a week. so I couldn't get any updates on this, but let me just show you a couple fast. If you have a Facebook account, you can take all the stuff that you've got on there, choose things that you want, and have an associated. This is my social book, which is not Facebook but affiliated with them. They will print out what you have on Facebook. So if you think of what's there, a lot of it's junk that you really don't want to have seen by anybody. It's too late now. But you can turn things into wonderful books. But oops. You specify a date range. So this one is from January of 2008 to December of 2013. You know, give me the stuff that's in there. That's this one. Another one was only this big. You know, so some are more prolific than others, right? Lots more pictures than others like. This was about $30. This was about $15. It depends on how many pages you have. And I'm sorry, I don't have the current stuff for you today. This company, My Social Book? My Social Book will ask you, here's an example of the page. They format it. You just say, oh, give me this, and then it shows up 4 or 5 days later. On a page, you're going to get a lot of genealogy from these things. If you say not just what I put, but also what my friends have posted back to me, you say, happy anniversary, Aunt Judy, on this date. So you just got some genealogy there, right? There'll be pictures of family members, references to other dates and places, relationships are specified. You're my favorite uncle. Thank goodness Mom dumped that guy. I like you better. You get a lot of the motives and, answers to questions you wouldn't get. It used to be that you could, those were created just by saying, here, let me have these. But now you have to have permission from living people. But you can print other people's posts if you get their permission. So what happens is you go to mysocialbook.com and the company asks your permission to access your Facebook account. You accept that, and then it will print your Facebook page. Now the company will send a message to anybody else who's been posting on your page, asking for their permission. If they don't respond in a reasonable amount of time, you got zipped. But if they say yes, then they will pick up the postings from other people and photos and whatnot. I would encourage you to get in touch with the other people yourself as a matter of courtesy and to get a better response. And say, I want to do this book. Do you mind? You'll be hearing from the company. Just say yes. That's okay, and I can send you a copy of the book as well. Sorry?
Oh, no.
Oh.
I do have a question though, on the same issue. Does silence imply consent?
No, silence means no.
Okay.
They don't have one that's famous tweets by.
They might, but I know nothing. So you can have the thing printed and send it as a gift. You can send a copy to yourself, to somebody else, or both of you. You specify what you want included. Text and images that may be posted on your wall, text and photos that others may be posted on your wall. If there are videos that have been attached there, often it will include the URL, so you can just pick up the URL and go fetch that yourself. You can go through and take the time to do this and say, ooh, I don't want that in my book. Take that part out, take that part out. And you can selectively remove things not to be printed. You say, do you want photos? Yes. Do you want those internal blogs, where people give a long description or something? Do you want the gaming activity and the achievements that are unlocked? Generally speaking, I don't do that. It really is a waste of paper, unless you're just super into gaming. You choose the format for the outer cover, whether you want a center image or whatever. The default is the Facebook banner plus your avatar image. Like this one. So it would have your banner and then your avatar image is the default. But you can choose to do a central thing, and so it's up to you how you want to do that. You choose the date range and how many individuals you want to include, that have been posting to your account. The smaller ones that have fewer postings, you can include more people without it getting crazy. There is a cap on the number of pages that they will print, and I don't know the current one, but at that time it was about 400 pages. You get better value with a larger book, value per page, so, whatever. They will not print off the email. And the print is a little grainy. You might want to look at it if you're interested. They're not perfect images like you'd get out of Peekaboo or someplace. But you can often pick up a lot of personal history, things about the individual's occupation. My brother is an architect. He builds hospitals all the time, and he had this thing when Schwarzenegger visited the hospital, and it had some shots of the hospital. So that's another quick thing that you can do as a family history book. Whatever you're doing, here are the rules. Edit. Correct the images for color consistency. Edit. 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 You will, I guarantee, you will find spelling errors, you will find a missing period, and it will drive you crazy for the next 20 years, and you will go in there with a pen and glob it on. So edit, edit, edit. Have somebody else edit. Just spend your time doing that. Now, as far as online publishers are concerned, Amazon, of course, I'm sure you're all familiar with Amazon's publishing. You can do a PDF version, and they will sell it on their site. You can have all kinds of options. Lulu does similar stuff, and Lulu will. They do mostly text. I wouldn't use them for lots of imagery. Mostly text, it's better. And be sure that you choose your paper wisely. The cheapest versions are going to be not exactly acid-free. By next week they'll be rotting. So just, get the best papers that you feel like springing for. It really is worth it to have the better papers. Anyway, you can publish things that are for nonprofit purposes, like for schools and stuff. You can publish for free, just the cost of it, without them adding on a cut. There are lots of things that, I can't push any particular company or whatever, but, it's a good one to look at. And they take advantage of many distribution networks, including Amazon. And they have lots of tutorials and stuff on their site. Personally, some of my friends and I can do a lot of this. Prefer Peekaboo for image-heavy books. If you're interested in really beautiful pictures and fine quality papers, beautiful bindings, this is what they call a lay flat page, and it's really important that you choose wisely. Many people think they have to buy the most expensive thing out there, and you don't. Let me show you, here's the difference. A typical book has a gutter. This is the gutter right here. So if you open something up, it has that dark dip, so if you're copying the page, then you're going to have that darkening at the edge, and can I get all that information and whatnot. So as you are thinking about your book, if you're going to use the kind with a gutter, because it's a lot cheaper, be sure that you're giving yourself very big margins. So that the interior margin is big, and you're going to have to figure out, is it a right or a left-hand page, because that one, you're going to change the margin size. Okay? So think about what you're going to do in your printing as you format. And now, a few years ago, they came out with this kind that's lay flat, and it has a clear tape that attaches to each page, and then kind of a space so that you can lay it flat. But it's tape. It's plastic. Now, let's get real. Who thought of this? Not somebody with a child, not somebody who ever put a book in a window where there's sun. That, in my opinion, is not going to last. But everybody has, I've got big flat pages, and I've got these. Okay, fine. And it is very nice. Okay. But Adorama does the very finest, thick, quality pages. They cost more, but if you want a really quality photo book, I'd go with Adorama or Peekaboo. These are lay flat pages, and it's the kind of thing. Here, it's the kind of thing where you can put an image all the way across, and you're not going to lose, part of it down the gutter, and you really can get a full image that way. So think about whether you want to pay extra for that. If almost all of your pictures are not like that, but are like that, who cares? So think about your formatting, and as you lay out your book, lay it out in a way knowing how you're going to go about your publishing. This is publishing anything, making books, really is a thinking man's art. And the more you think, the better that book is going to turn out to be. Obviously, there are differences in the prices, which are considerably more or less. For kids, I make use of these little mini books quite a lot. They're 20 pages, they're $20. And if you go to Peekaboo for the first time, they'll give you a free book. If you refer a friend, they get a free book, you get a free book, and so on. Create your books well in advance and wait. Just be done and wait. Get yourself on their mailing list and wait. Because every couple of months they'll have 40% off. Once a year, 70% off. So just have your book made, because when the sales come, it'll be you have 3 days to get that price. So that's not when you want to start making your book. Have the thing ready to go and wait for the sale to come along. So these are darling, and again, what we want to do with these books is not just have a place for some pretty pictures, although there's room for that, but my purpose is to draw the hearts of the generations together. So this is a book to do something with. So my darling granddaughters that you could use things in the song. My darling granddaughter and I had a favorite lullaby. lions sleep in their dens, goats sleep on the mountainside, and piggies sleep in pens. And then the refrain is baby good night, baby good night. So all the refrains have pictures of the baby with various family members holding her, adoring looks and singing to her. And then, we'll see you in our dreams, and then we're back to naming animals. Whales sleep in the ocean, zebras sleep on land, hippos sleep by the riverside, and camels sleep on sand. Baby, good night, baby, good night. And giant figures. So she is having an educational experience. She's going to this for a favorite song, and for animals, and for pictures of her grandparents, siblings, and so on, so that it's all there in one. And she handles this turning the page. She is bonded to this book and bonded to these pictures. Okay? Remember, the handling, the doing something will make the difference. So make your books count for drawing the hearts to them. They're great fun. Now, I do want to mention, here I did go on. I don't know if you can see this very well, but one of the things that, please, I beg you to do, when you're doing your books, please make them aesthetically pleasing by making them consistent. Choose a color scheme and stick with it. If you like vibrant lime and orange, more power to you, but make everything in the book orange and lime. Okay, don't switch over to pastel blue and then go back to zigzag. You need to have a suite in the book that is pleasing. It's a whole book. It's not this page, this page, this page. You're going to experience the book. So think about the look that you want to have throughout the thing and go there. Now, one of the problems in using photographs is that some of the best expressions, particularly with sleepy babies, are dim light. And in dim light, particularly with a cell phone, you're going to get a miserable picture. It's going to be pixelated and grainy. It's going to look awful. And you have to make everything look good somehow. Also, you've got all these animal pictures, and they're all different DPI, all different things. If you get something off the internet, it's going to be 72 DPI. What the heck are you going to do with that? So what I do is, for this and things like it, I would just wash it through in Photoshop and use one of the filters. Now, the filter that I used here was one of the art filters to make it look like blobs of paint. And you can adjust how much of it you put on, so you can have just a little bit or a little bit more. And with that, I'm sorry you can't see this very well, but the animal pictures are more blobby because they were really bad. But the pictures of all the humans, I did the same effect, so that all of them have the same kind of effect as you turn pages, and you're not shocked. The experience of a book is, as you turn that page, that's the one where it's like this, and that's the one, and the kids know what's on the next page, and they can quote it to you when it's too dim and you can't reach the light. They can tell you what's on the next page, but you can make them all the same or close enough that it doesn't shock you and take you out of the moment. That willing suspension of disbelief business in theater applies equally to the experience of a book. Don't shock somebody by changing the color scheme or the style of writing. Here's a vividly perfect picture, and here's a really pixelated, awful, grainy picture. You need to be kind and make something beautiful that they will experience as you do that. Do wait for those discount offers. Right now until the 11th, you've got 40% off if you want to go to Big Blue. Blurb.com is another place to go, and it will create layouts for you for your books. and it's WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. And that's really important because a lot of times the colors do not match what you see on your screen. Assume that whatever your print company is, your pictures are going to come out much darker than what you see on your screen, much darker. They oversaturate the pages, if you have a higher gloss paper, you're going to get a better image and it won't saturate it as much. But you need to back off the darkness of your images so that it's too light on your screen, but when it prints, it will print more like what you wanted it to be. So back it off a little bit. Blurb also will sell through Amazon. Most of them will. They'll make the book for you and then give you the option. You sell it yourself. If you want to do that, or buy 1 or 2 or 6 or 10 or however many you want for your family, or you can make it available through them. It's easy to set up. Amazon will charge you $1.35 per book. And then they mark up the list price by 15% for whatever. You decide how much you want to sell your book for. It costs you so much to make it. You have your profit, which it will be something small. And then whatever the company is taking as their cut for doing the work. So just look it up for whichever company you're thinking about using and go there. If it's a for-profit book, where your purpose is to make a book and sell it, there is a higher markup by the company. If you're going to sell it, you will need an ISBN, which is no big deal to get, but you will need it if you're going to sell it. If it's just for you and your family, you do not need an ISBN, so you don't have to wait for that and you don't have to pay anything for it. And some of them, what you did, that first one I showed you, they don't charge you if it's a not-for-profit. Okay, here's that David Rumsey map collection and Google Earth, and you can just click on. You turn this on in the left-hand sidebar under Gallery. Rumsey Historical Maps. Just turn it on, and then it will show you this little icon over any place that there's a map, and you can add that in. Timeline Maker Pro is a great program that I like to use. I do a lot of timelines. Early on, I was searching for Thomas Robinson's family. He was a classic Dickinsonian orphan in Liverpool, England. And I was trying to figure out things about him and what was going on. So I made a timeline of the events that were going on during his life, what I knew, where I had some information, I put that in, and then I added the pictures and the maps and whatnot, and this was just a very handy, wonderful plot piece for me, and became a beautiful thing to describe. One of the places that you can make use of is Family Search on the Memories tab. You can add photos and stories. You can add audio, and you can just stick it in Family Search. They will preserve it forever for you, and they will lay it out in nice pages like this that you can do screen captures and blow up and print and send to other people. You can interview family members and record important details. Here's this one incident. You can save those memories before it's too late. Our family, when I was 9 or 10, we were driving across country to Alabama. There was a family griot out there, the person who knows all the stories. And she was quite old. But we heard that she knew the story of this, and we were trying to, find that. We had made arrangements, and it took us, I don't know, a week or something to drive across, and we stopped and camped along the way, and near Grand Canyon, and ooh, isn't that cool? And when we got to Birmingham, she had died the day before.
Oh.
You don't know what's going to happen then. Get it now. Get it in little bits and let it build up, but get it now. And put it into Family Search. You will always have it. You can access it. Your family can access it. Just get it there and be sure that it's there before it's too late. It's amazing. A stroke can happen. A traffic accident can happen. Things happen. Get it and save it now. You can identify the people in the pictures, and if you don't know, somebody else can look at that picture and identify it. It's a wonderful thing. Family Search will store it for free, and just use your account. There's an online version of a little instant family history book that you can just start filling out. You sign into your account and it will pull up stuff about you and your parents are and your grandparents are, and then you can fill in more information about it. Or there's a physical booklet that's the My Family booklet. I think it's $1 or something. It's just a very nice format to get down the basics and be sure that you have some of those precious stories. And it's a place where you can, tuck a picture until you get it into something more permanent. Kids love these. They're just the right size, and you can write in them, and they're perfect for little ones. And all that information will be stored in the Granite Mountain Record Vault, and there is no more secure place on the planet for storing documents than there.
Where is that?
It's in Utah, in the Granite Mountains, and it is a hollowed-out mountain. It sits on, there's a big platform, and it sits on giant springs. They're like this, so if there's earthquakes, which there are, the whole thing would just rotate. It has an underground, what they call an alpine lake, inside the mountain, so it maintains a constant humidity. There is no more perfect place for preserving it. And a minimum of every 5 years, they migrate all the data to the current technology. So it is always kept up. And there are multiple copies and so on. It is the best place on the planet to preserve your memories. If you need help in thinking of interview questions, you want to go ask questions of your great aunt before she's gone, here are some questions to ask. There are many nice lists of them. One of my favorites is this oral history, library.ucla.edu. That's in your handout. But it just gives you, a couple hundred questions to cover. We've talked a little bit about content for kids. This is a true story about an ancestor, and it's darling. This is Gingerbread for Liberty. It's about a German baker who actually helped change the course of the American Revolution. All the images are done as gingerbread cookies. It's really, it's just a darling, beautiful book. But it's the true story of a German baker who was a little bit too rotund for normal military duty, but he wanted to help. And so he baked. And he baked well, and good food was hard to come by. And at a particular moment, he was able to convince some of the Germans, because he spoke German, and he took them German food. Hey, do you really want to be doing that? Come be on our side, and he did. So it's a wonderful true story. This is a family history story that has been told truly and well. Grandma Essie's Covered Wagon I mentioned. When Jessie came across the sea, there are many immigration books that are out that are lovely. Some books are written as though you were sitting with your grandchildren and explaining what's in the family album. So this one, for example, says my grandmother was Julia Ann Murphy. She was born, her parents were blah, blah, blah. But it'll say things like the official Boston Record of Birth says the family's address at the time was here. However, and then there'll be these asides, and it comes across, the style comes across as though you're just sitting next to her going through the family album. So the style that you want to choose, and who are you writing the book for? If you want it to be, okay, names and dates, okay, turn the page. Or do you want to tell some of those stories about when the gangsters were over on the next block over and we saw them out the back window and this is what we did? You just kind of add in those things. When you're writing, maybe you are in love with words and you like the way that words sound. So you might write for sake of what the book will sound like when you read it aloud. And that's a different kind of book. Every book should be read aloud before you give it to the publisher, no matter what. That's the only way you're going to know if it's written well. But suppose that you wrote something like this: the chill rains of autumn coax the lush growth of grasses to our meadow, enticing a dear family to linger often on the sun-facing acre. If you want to write like that and talk like that, you can enchant the child with language. If that's your purpose, write that way and stick with it throughout. If you want to be chatting with the child, like they're sitting next to you going through an album, write like that as a conversation with a child. If you're into the scrapbooking thing and it's very visual, make it playful. So here, a granddaughter finds a ladybug in the pile of leaves that dropped by the maple out the back porch, and we bury her in the leaves, and we add a little ladybug over the top of it. Make it something fun where they can run their finger over where the ladybug. Make it physical. Anything tactile will make it more memorable. Do it. I have many Quakers in my family, and I was quite enchanted. You probably remember several years back, Hidden in Plain View came out. I don't know if you've read this. It's the secret story of Quilt and the Underground Railroad. And it tells about how the quilt blocks that were done like samplers were actually a code that helped the slaves to know where to go next, where to go next, where to go next. And at conductors' homes, they would get to the place where it was supposed to be a safe house, and they would wait to see if the quilt was put out with a certain pattern showing. That meant it was safe, or they're on to you, don't stop here. So that the patterns were used as messaging. Now, we know that at least two of the women and one of the men in our line we know were involved in the Underground Railroad. So one of the too many projects that I'm trying to get done before Christmas, quiet books, they're cloth books for little ones. You'd use them like on a plane, or if you were in church and you're trying to keep the child quiet with the little activity. They're quilted, padded, paged books with clocks and shoes and things, that a little one can play with. Well, I'm making an Underground Railroad book so that it tells the story of the Underground Railroad Code, and these are the particular patterns that had particular meanings, and it says what that meant. And then I'm including what little we do know, but we do know some specific incidents where conductors in our family were helping to hide people who were escaping to the north, or cover them up in the back of the wagon and fly and put your own life at risk and dash across the bridge and whatnot. So we have these scenes. And then we're doing that just in fabric. And you can take, you can use text. If you get the T-shirt transfer kits that you can buy in a fabric store, you can take a page of text and a page, with graphics on it, and just run that through a heat machine, and it will transfer onto the square of fabric. And then you sew that on the inside, and then I've got the next quilt square, and here's the next part of the story, and so on. So it's a quiet book, and we can begin when they're very young to teach them about people who try to do the right thing, no matter what other people say. I expect we're running out of time, and Beth is being so patient with me. But I do want to show you Robert Sabaden. If you're not familiar with it, he is one of the great geniuses. He is a paper engineer par excellence, and he has a free website that has little tutorials that show you how to do the paper engineering. His book of Peter Pan is one of the most amazingly engineered pop-up books I have ever seen. And I'm afraid we collect books. So this one had to come home. So this is the story of Peter Pan. So there's London down below, and each of these things folds out and has more inside each one. This book is incredible, and so it is absolutely a work of art. Each one pops up and shows you all these wonderful things. And is that in here? Must be nice. Here's the island and more of the story. And here we are, flying about. And the mermaids. And of course, Peter, doing his thing. With Tinkerbell moving back and forth. And look at this ship. Now, this only has 6 pages. But what an achievement. Now, I have to tell you, this is addicting. As soon as you start tinking around to make paper engineered pages, you will be hooked forever. It's so easy to do if you're patient and just tinker around with it, literally. Just snip a little bit more out there. Ooh, I bet if I did this, you can do that. You can make things spin. You can have little draw things that reveal stuff underneath. You can have tornadoes that lift off. There are so many wonderful things that you can do. And if you turn one scene from your ancestor's life into a basic slider or a spinning wheel underneath, you have enticed your child in a way that no other book will. I hope that you will reach out in whatever format you choose and make a real difference to let those who have loved and lived before continue to do that from the pages of whatever you create. may you live long and prosper long after you are gone. Thank you.